Hello, hello. Leo here. And let me improve the lighting a little bit. We are live. Can you all see and hear me? Oh, hi, Junia. One sec. Okay, hi, Diana. Okay, we are ready to go. The magic of live streaming. Hi, everybody. I am Leo Babauta, Zen Habits, and it's really good to be here with all of you. If you are here in the chat, I see we have some people here in the chat. Please, share where you are and how your day is going. That would be really great to hear. So this is, I don't know how many we've done now, 4 or 5 of these YouTube lives. And my intention with these lives is to just share something that I think is really important that will help people deal with the difficulties in their lives, create really good habits, simplify, create mindfulness, deepen into their purpose, face difficult things with a sense of calm and peace. So there's a set of themes that I've been sharing in the YouTube videos, in my blog posts lately. And so this one, we're going to talk about overload, dealing with overload. And the subtitle of our live stream today is Creating Space When Life Feels Too Full. So if that sounds like something that you could really use, is like dealing with overload, life feeling too full, wanting to create some space, please share a little bit about that here in the chat as well. David, hello, David. Julie, hi, Julie, good to see you. Ontario, Canada, having a great day. Awesome. Nicole from Florida, good to see you again. Beth, I know Beth, in Portland, Oregon, beautiful day. So nice. Junia is in Japan. It is 3 a.m. Woke up early just for this. Amazing, Junia. Really great to see you. And Junia, I know at least a couple of you are in our Fearless Living Academy and my Fearless Mastery program. So great to see all of you, familiar names and faces. Oops. Morgan from Wisconsin. A little fun fact, my mom's family is from Wisconsin. My grandparents are from a little town called Neenah near Oshkosh. But they left a long time ago for California, then eventually Guam. An adventurous journey. But I have Wisconsin roots, even though I've never actually been there. And I was born in Portland, Oregon, so I have some Portland roots as well. None in Canada, though, unfortunately. Okay, so let's talk about dealing with overload. So let's talk about the problem first. So overload, we could also call it overwhelm. Overwhelm is the feeling that we get when we feel overloaded. So overload would be, I have so much to deal with right now, so much on my plate. Maybe I have a to-do list that stretches to the heavens. I have, or down to hell maybe. So we have a long to-do list, thousands and thousands of things, or email inboxes and messages and work messaging systems are all super full. So that's overload. But it might not be work stuff. It could be I'm dealing with a lot in my life. My kids are a lot. My spouse is a lot. My mom or my dad is a lot. My siblings, are going through some kind of crisis. Maybe I'm helping a lot of people with crises right now. My pet's going through a crisis. I am dealing with a health crisis. The world is dealing with many crises. And so all of that is a sense of like what we are dealing with, kind of stretched beyond our capacity. And so that's the kind of way we see the external reality. And then the internal feeling is often overwhelm, but not necessarily. That's not the only thing that we feel. Overwhelm would be a big one. Anxiety is related to that as well. Um, and then what are some of the other ones? Frustration. I'm so frustrated. Why aren't other people like helping me out? I'm doing so much, pulling my hair out. Um, Fair dinkum. Hi, John, from Bribby Island. 4 a.m. in Australia. Awesome. Diana says frustration 100%. Okay. So yeah, we could be maxed out at frustration, right? So frustration, I'm frustrated with myself, frustrated with other people. Why aren't they doing more? Why do I always have to carry the load is a common one. Frustration and anger would be related to that, of course. Resentment, feeling burdened. Those are all kind of interrelated. Powerlessness is an interesting one. We feel powerless when we're feeling overloaded. So we could call these a constellation of internal experiences that we might have. And some people gravitate towards one more than another. Um, but these are often how it feels. It could feel really heavy. Another one that I've heard is I feel like hiding under the covers. And so that's just a feeling of like, I can't handle this. I just need to like go and hide. And so actually that's an example of some of the things that come from overload. Trapped. Oh, good one. Yeah. So we have, pressure is another one. I feel a lot of pressure. So feeling stretched thin is another feeling that we might have. Just like pulled in, all the directions at once, right? Cornered drowning is another one. Yeah. Pet crisis. Yes. Yeah. I mean, our crisis with all kinds of loved ones. A common one would be with our kids, but parents, siblings, cousins, death in the family. And then, kids would include our pets, our best friends. These are all places where we can feel crises and overload and stretched thin, and I just have so much. So what I was saying is hiding under the covers is both a feeling, like I feel like I just need to hide, but it's also maybe an action, an example of an action that we might take. From all of these feelings, we start to take some action. So let me kind of lay this out. First, there's the external reality, or at least how we perceive the external reality. So, there's just so much going on. And then there's the internal experience. So we've mentioned, overload, frustration, feeling trapped, underwater, stretched thin, anxiety, pressure. All of these things are the internal experience. And then from that, there's a set of things that we would tend to do. And I'm going to list some of them now, but is not comprehensive, and I don't think everybody experiences all of these. So I might not list the ones that you actually do, but you might notice some of these in here. I might list ones that you don't actually do. So this is not like this is exactly what you do. We all tend to have our go-to tendencies when we have the internal experience of overload. So the go-to ones would be hide under the covers, run around and try and do everything all at once, zone out, watching TV, social media, those kinds of things. Doom scrolling, looking at the news 24 hours a day, doom scrolling on social media, playing games would be another zoning out one, video games, for example. Avoidance. I'm just gonna I can't deal with all of it. Just put it all over there. I'm going to go over here. It's um, it's like my old habit when I was deeply in debt. I would take all of the bills, medical bills, all these other bills that I owed, credit card bills, and I would take them, and I had a really good solution for those bills. I would shove them into a drawer. Um, totally worked. Uh, it ferments them, so they, when they're aged, these bills, mm, just a beautiful taste. Okay, so shoving things in a drawer or however you might deal with things. Another interesting way that people react, it's not just avoidance or numbing out. Well, numbing out could also include comforting ourselves. So comfort foods, smoking cigarettes or other things, drinking. So that would be like a numbing out kind of thing, comforting ourselves. And none of these are bad. I just want to make sure that's really clear. Eating is not bad. We don't want to make eating, or even eating comfort foods, like I'm eating my favorite comfort food. That isn't bad, right? We're just noticing what we tend to do. Neither is watching TV or looking at the news or playing games. None of these things are bad things. I really want to make sure that's clear. But another interesting thing that we might do is control. Actually, all of these are control mechanisms, but some of them you can see a little bit more overtly. Like I want to control everything. So someone who becomes a control freak, which is an interesting term, but control freak, controlling others, micromanaging, like having everything perfectly organized is a control mechanism. Um, Perfectionism is a control mechanism. Interestingly, uh, criticizing, judging others, shaming them, guilt tripping people, manipulating them emotionally. These are all control mechanisms. Again, they're not necessarily bad, although those ones definitely can have some problems associated with them. But all I want to say is that they are control mechanisms, right? So all of these things are things that we tend to do. And if you're judging these things, just notice that's usually because they have a consequence that we don't like, right? Like, let's say it's emotional eating. Well, now, long term, maybe my health gets worse, right? Start to have health problems from emotional, too much emotional eating because it's the only thing I know to do to comfort my feelings of overwhelm. Criticizing ourselves is another really common one. Guilt tripping ourselves. It's not just others. So they have consequences. So what we do from these actions, what we see from these actions is that we start to create some circumstances. Interestingly, most of these things actually create more of the overwhelm, powerlessness, overload, right? So if we're procrastinating and avoiding, shoving things in a drawer, does that reduce the overload or increase it? Probably increases it, right? A lot of the other ones, like working really fast, might sound like it will reduce the overload because I'm actually tackling all the things on my list, but not necessarily. It can, definitely can help. But running around like you've got, no head on, running around without a head, uh, probably not the best idea. You might trip. But secondly, what happens is we start to get on a treadmill of being super busy all the time. And that can lead to no rest because I got to do everything, and burnout. And when we're burned out, we have less capacity to do stuff. We might still try to do more beyond our capacity, and it will lead to more burnout. And as you can imagine from this, there's not a end to feeling overloaded, even though we're trying to tackle the list. Okay, so some of this is going to be review for a lot of people here. Good to see everybody. If you are joining me late, I asked earlier, where are you in the world, and how's your day going? Also, love to hear if any of this is resonating with you. If I've called out one of your internal experiences one of the things you tend to do, feel free to share that here. Um, okay. Problem gone. I think I might have missed that, but you're referring to the um, aged aged bills. Shoving them in a drawer is, I believe, a strategy. We'll say there are a lot of strategies for dealing with overload, and shoving in the drawer is one of them. So, okay, we have oh, Rafal from Portland. Cool. Rav, Rafal or Ravel? Raval. Okay. Oh, Poland. Oh, okay, got it. Sorry, I misread. It's around 8:13 p.m. 2013. Okay, and we have a question here. How would you approach leaving a constant habit of filling our minds with things we don't need, especially video games? Next message coming. Great. Okay, I'll address questions in a bit. What I've been doing here is laying out how all this works, right? So um, the last part that I was sharing was that there's some results, some things that we're creating. So for example, if we're comforting ourselves with, let's say, food, we might create some health issues long term, but we also might not be, we might be pairing that, over emotional, comfort eating pairs really nicely with avoiding our our work. And so at least that was my experience. I still do some emotional comforting, but I have it definitely a lot better under control, but it used to not be. Um, so we start to create a world around us from these actions, and that tends to add to the overload. I don't want to pick on eating, so another one. Let's say playing video games. It could be a little bit of comfort, a little bit of fun. So that's one thing that gets created. But we tend to feel guilt and shame for what we're not doing, especially if we're doing it because we were feeling overloaded, and then things start to pile up even more, and so we're overloading ourselves more with more work that's piling up and more guilt and shame. Okay, so I've kind of laid it out. Actually, let's lay it out like a sequence. The way that I see the external world is that I have too much to deal with. The way I experience my internal thing as a result of that is a set of internal experiences like overwhelm, anxiety, stress, frustration, anger, all of that stuff. From those emotions, what I tend to do is a set of actions. It might be two or three of the ones I've mentioned. Maybe it's more, maybe it's just one thing that you do every time. Maybe we maybe there's ones I haven't mentioned, but there's a set of actions we do, and then there's a results or the world we start to create around us, which tends to kind of reinforce the first one. So it loops back to the beginning of this chain here. So there's different things we can do with each of those steps. So let's talk about some practical ones first. One is we've got a list of 1,000 things to deal with. And then the second one is there's just so much that I'm dealing with in my life, with my family and loved ones, with the world. So it's just like a lot going on to deal with. So some practical techniques there that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to use we're going to call this more of a mythical analogy. Mythical because it's not necessarily like how life is in a monastery, but let's imagine a Zen monk. Okay. So the Zen monk, boy, this monk has a lot to do today, right? She's got meditation at 4 a.m. She's got clean the temple with a broom, She's got cook breakfast for the whole community of monks. She's got meditate some more. She's got, get back to a student who wrote to her, maybe 4 students. So she's got a list of things to do. And so uh, we're like, oh man, like she's dealing with a lot of the stuff that I'm dealing with. So, uh, and Ravel, I'll get back to you in a little bit. Ravel. Yeah, Raval. Uh, so she's got a list of things. So let's take how she might approach this. And she's like, right now, it's 4 a.m. The only thing that I need to deal with is meditation. And so she goes and sits. And yes, of course, there's some stuff brewing inside of her about all the other things that need to happen today. But she just sits. And she has the tug to get up and go do all those other things, but she knows she can only do one thing at a time. So she just sits. So she practices with the tug to go do stuff. And she just sits. When the gong goes off and meditation is over, she goes and sweeps. When that's done, she goes and starts chopping vegetables for breakfast. After breakfast, she's got some choices. Answer those letters from students, prepare something for tomorrow, and so she looks at her choices and she chooses one. She takes some breaths, then she just focuses on that one, preparing something for tomorrow. So she just does that. And one thing at a time, she will do everything that she can until it's time for bed. Now, it's a simplistic kind of metaphor, analogy, imagery. But the idea here is that this monk is doing one thing at a time, and the only thing that she can do is one at a time. And so she just chooses. She's like, now is the time for meditation. Now is the time for chopping vegetables. Now is the time to prepare this thing for tomorrow. She might have to make some choices along the way, but some of them are slotted, right? She always meditates at 4 a.m. She always prepares breakfast after she sweeps. And so there's a series of things that she might do that are slotted in. And then there's some open time where she would just have to make some choices. And I think that that's a model here that we could draw from. Can we slot some things in our day and just allow ourselves just to be fully there with that thing? If I'm going to spend some time with a loved one at 5 p.m., can I just do that rather than needing to be on my phone or checking my email, thinking about the things I have to do tomorrow? Let me just fully relax into this moment. Now, that is a practice. It isn't something that is easy to do because we can't just switch things off necessarily. And we can't just, not have the tug to go do 1,000 things. But the approach is the one that I wanted to talk about. Okay. So one thing at a time, choose one thing, slot some things, and then just breathe and focus on that. Now we will feel the pull for other things. We practice fully immersing ourselves into each of those things while we're there. If I'm going to take some time off, I'm going to 1,000% take that time off and just let myself be there. If I'm going to do a work task, that is what I'm going to focus on. Now, we might get interrupted, which can be really frustrating. But then I just say, am I going to choose to honor this interruption? If so, let me set this aside and be fully with this person or this request. And if not, what I'll say is, I can deal with that in a little bit. Right now, I've got this. So those are our choices. And I want to simplify them in this way because it can feel really complicated to do all of this. But I'm giving you a few key practical things that we can do. Some of these are going to be review for a lot of people, but we roll our eyes. Yeah, I know that. and we don't actually do it. So if you actually practice this, your day, your life becomes a lot simpler. Okay. Um, thank you. I will get to the question. And if anyone else wants to post questions like Rafal's doing, please feel free to post below, and I'll try and make some time for it. Okay. That's the first practical technique. And I've given you some things that you can do. Slot some things in your day. So you just relax into it. Choose one thing at a time. Fully be there with that. Breathe when there's an interruption and choose whether you want to fully honor it or tell them you can do it later. And then just really practice immersing yourself in the moment with that thing when you feel the tug to go do a bunch of other things. Sounds simple, not always so simple in execution, of course, but that's the model that I wanted to share. Underlying this is more of a deeper level thing, which is that we don't trust ourselves. And this is something that I've been reflecting a lot on and really practicing with, is we don't trust ourselves. Like, I don't trust myself to choose the one thing I'm going to focus on right now. And in that case, what there really is a fear that if I choose this one, these ones are going to all fall apart and I would have chosen wrong and I'll regret it, right? And so what if you just chose it anyway, just trusted yourself? And then if one of those did fall apart, unlikely, but let's just say it did, you then turned towards that and decided to clean up the mess of that. And through this, what we learn is we can deal with the messes that result from it, but we practice just trusting ourselves. What if I could just trust myself just to choose one thing right now? The other thing we don't trust is that it's okay to just do one at a time, and it's okay to just do what we can do. We can only do so much. This Zen monk that I modeled for us, by the time she gets to bedtime, she still has things on her list to do. And she knows that that's okay. Because tomorrow she'll pick the list back up and work on it then. And she did her best. She gave that day her best. She can sleep and just be there fully in the sleep, trusting herself that tomorrow she can pick up the list and deal with it. So, of course, it's not always that simple. Sometimes we get a call at, midnight that a loved one is going through a crisis and we have to deal with that. So, of course, I gave you a simplistic kind of model, but I actually think that there's some wisdom in that simplistic model, so worth dealing with, worth using. Okay, let's take a different angle. I have a few different angles to get to, and then I'll open up for questions. Let's see. So another one is, how do we actually clear some space? I'm going to give you two different angles here. So clearing some space externally and clearing some space internally. So externally, it can feel like a lot. The space that I'm talking about is like, imagine that you had a wide open day and only 3 things to do. Amazing, right? Like, only 3 things and my day is clear. Wow. Yes, I would love that. And if that's what you want, it's $1,000. But I joke. But just imagine that, right? So that is a clear, that we would call that akin to having a minimalist house that only had 3 things in it, right? This clear, beautiful, kind of picturesque house, and it has like minimal number of things in it. It's like, there's something really lovely about that, right? But right now the house is packed to the ceiling with stuff, right? Hi, Morgan, or bye from Wisconsin. Bye, Mo. So right now we have so much clutter, and what we would like is a little bit of space. 3 things in our house, eventually, great. 3 things in our wide open day, eventually, amazing. But right now, all I want is just a little bit of breathing space, right? So how do we do that? Well, if we had a house filled with stuff, what I would tell you is clear a little space, just a little. You don't have to clear the whole house at once. That's the problem, is that people think I need to clear everything at once. But what if I told you you just needed to clear the top of this desk that's in front of me? You can't see it. There's a wooden desk top. Uh, so we clear the wooden desk top, and that's the only space that I need to focus on right now. You might start to see a theme emerging. Um, and so I take everything off of this desktop. Right now it's got a cup of coffee. It's got some earbuds, which I'm not using because it's just me talking. I have a water bottle. I have a lamp giving me some light. I have a half-eaten bagel, which I'm too full to finish. Then I have a coin here, Memento Mori, and on the back, this is from Daily Stoic. I just like it. In the back, it says, "You could leave life right now." Now, I leave it on that side up. You could leave life right now. I'm going to leave that there, but let's say I clear everything else off the top of my desk and I put them here on the floor right next to me. One big spot. And then I just take one thing at a time and I say, what do I want to do with this? Do I want to put it on this desktop? And I said yes to this coin. For these earbuds, I'm not using them. I'm going to put them in this drawer that has a cord and a computer micro cloth wiper. My coffee and water, I'm going to leave it here so I can sip during the course of this webinar. This half-eaten bagel, if I weren't using this right now, I might go and take care of that. Maybe I wrap it up for later, compost it, whatever it is I would do, and wash the dish. So that was a very simple example, but I took everything off and I only returned the things on it that I actually want to use. And then I put everything else in its place or get rid of it. So if I did that with this desktop, it would be clear or fairly clear. I would have still some drinks and a coin. And then I start to expand that zone of space, one little flat surface at a time. The floor of this room, I might do one little, quadrant at a time, but I might do the top of a bookshelf. I might do the top of a table. I might do the top of a counter. So flat spaces. And then I would go into the closet. Then I would go into drawers, one little space at a time. Now that is with physical clutter, but we can do the same thing with everything else that we've got, our list of, a billion things, right? So how do I declutter? Maybe I start with my email inbox or my messages, and I just deal with those one at a time. And I'm not going to finish my email inbox in one day necessarily, but I just go through it. And now there's a little bit more space and breathing room. Do the same thing the next day. And I just have some decluttering sessions every day where that email inbox starts to feel a lot more spacious. And I do the same thing with my to-do list. Is there anything there that I want to get rid of? Do I want to put some things on a calendar? Do I want to archive things for later? Like I'll deal with those next month. And then slowly create a smaller list of things to focus on for this week, and then even a smaller list of things just for today. The problem is we're looking at this long list forever, and it always feels too cluttered. So we just start to declutter one little space at a time, and we start to create some external space. The thing about decluttering, both physical and kind of the things that we're dealing with, is that we don't want to have a perfectionist kind of thing, that it has to be always perfect. That becomes also a problem. That if I want like my space to be fully clear of clutter, then when there is a little bit of clutter, I'm going to be stressed out. What we're doing is just creating a little bit of space for ourselves, just to breathe a little bit and to be able to deal with one thing at a time. Okay, I'm going to talk about internal space next. How do we create internal space? Well, I believe that meditation techniques can really help. So let's imagine you're feeling flustered and overwhelmed and drowning and frustrated. So if you can notice that instead of running around and trying to do everything at once, what I really would encourage you to do is just to close your eyes for a minute. You can practice it with me right now if you like. And then just start to take some slower breaths. And a couple of things to notice about the slower breaths is that they are, first of all, slower breath soothes our nervous system, drops us into the parasympathetic nervous system, the kind of like, I'm not in any danger. If our breath is slow, we must not be in immediate fight or flight kind of danger. So by slowing down the breath, we kind of, uh, lead the brain and the nervous system into believing, okay, we're safe, we can slow down. And the rest of your system starts to slow down as well. But what you might notice too is that the breath is a reflection of our mental state. So if I'm breathing shallow and faster, it is likely that I'm doing small, fast things throughout the day. I don't feel like there's any space. But if I can deepen the breath down into the belly, slower, deeper breath, these are generous, spacious breaths. By doing that, it's going to be reflected in my inner state, in that I feel there's some spaciousness, some inner spaciousness. So deep, slow, generous, spacious breaths. You're gifting yourself with space as you do this. And your mind, your mental space starts to feel like there's a little bit of breathing room as well. Okay, I can just focus on one thing right now, the breath. And then from that, you can continue to practice with one thing, the next thing that you take on. A couple more things I want to mention about this kind of meditation practice of creating inner space is you might have a lot of different things, like it feels like, oh my God, I'm dealing with so much. And I want to encourage you to attend to the one thing. In this case, we're attending to the breath. And then you can also change from that to tending to whatever emotion is there for you. If you're feeling frustration, anxiety, overwhelm, just attend to that. And what we're doing here is a practice of attending to the one thing. And so when we open our eyes and we start dealing with the next thing, I'm going to attend to this one thing. So attend to the one thing is the mantra that I want to encourage. One final thing with this meditation practice is if we go back to the beginning of this sequence of events that I mentioned, the first thing is we might see it as an external reality of I have too much to deal with. That's the reality around me, is I have too much on my to-do list or email inbox or crises around me. But actually that's a view. That's how I'm viewing the external reality. There's just too much to deal with. And so in this meditation, I'd love for you just to notice that view. There's so much to deal with. It's too much. You might imagine your to-do list or your inbox or both, or all the things going on in your life. And just notice the view there. It's too much to deal with. There's too much to handle. And just notice that that's a view. That's how you're seeing things. There's so much. And we might even then start to imagine we can see a different view. So, for example, let's say I had um, a couple dozen friends and loved ones in my life. I could say, oh my God, there's so many people for me to take care of. There's so many people with needs that I have to fulfill. So many like people I have to like answer back and so forth. Or I could switch to a different view, just a different way of seeing the same situation. Like, oh my God, look at how much love there is in my life. Look how many incredible people I love and who love me back. Like, wow. Now, that might not be the reality in your life. Maybe you don't have dozens of friends and loved ones, but I'm just giving you a scenario to like look at. So imagine instead of friends and loved ones, we think of our tasks and emails in the same way. We're like, oh my God, there's so many things for me to take care of. Instead, we can be like, oh my God, there's so much love in my life. Look at the things that I get to spend time with. And if we kind of talked to our emails and our tasks like they were friends, like what would that shift in our lives? Let me open up my task list and look at some of these friends and loved ones I have here and be like, oh wow, I get to write a blog post today. Let's spend some time together, friend. Okay, I won't go too far into that little metaphor there, but I really do believe that there's a shift in view that we could create. That's an example of one. But I think talking to your emails, you're like, okay, how do I make you happy? How can we make each other happy today? Okay, I think that's what I had for you in terms of what I wanted to teach. And so I'm going to get to Rafal's question and then encourage everybody else. If you have a question, I have so much to deal with, overwhelm, frustration with other people, frustration with myself, put it here in the chat. When you don't have hair, what you want to do is make sure your eyebrows are on point. So, okay. So what Raval wrote was, how would you approach leaving a constant habit of filling our mind with things we don't need, especially video games? I have a relationship with games since I was 6. I'm 19 now. Absolutely. My kids are around your age and they grew up with games as well. I play a lot, but now I feel more aware than ever, and I play to escape the external world. Message limit is kind of annoying. I didn't even realize there was a message limit. Thanks for letting me know. And then, I have a 19-year-old daughter, by the way, so very relevant here. Next, you wrote, fear never disappears, so I try to convince myself to live with fear. To be clear, fear of boredom and negative thoughts. I realize running away only from facing fear works only short term. Yes, I recently started practicing meditation with a Medito app. It really might help in my case of video games, being more aware in the world. So I have a few suggestions for you, Ravel, and then I have Jyothi here. Good to see you. Okay. So the first one is, when you play video games, you might just notice like, what's the feeling that I'm feeling underneath? And what I want to say is that fear is one, fear of boredom, fear of negative, having negative thoughts. It often feels like we can't handle these emotions, right? Like I have the negative emotion, overwhelm, fear, some kind of negativity about myself. And we think, oh, this is bad. I shouldn't have these feelings. I can't handle it, which again is a lack of trust in ourselves. So at 19, if you develop trust in yourself, it would be the best thing you could ever do. Trust and love for yourself, but trust in yourself. I I believe at 52, this is still the best thing to do. So it doesn't matter what age you are, but 19 would be amazing if I could go back to my 19-year-old self. He had hair, by the way, and tell him, develop trust in yourself. I would have saved myself years of difficulty and learning. So anyway, it's all learning. But if you could develop trust in yourself, so imagine you had full trust that I could feel bored, right? I could feel negative emotions. I could feel, loneliness or overwhelm. Like, oh my God, like you could just let yourself feel it and it's not a problem. It's like in learning when people think, oh, I should not have any mistakes. Mistakes mean I'm bad, right? And what they're doing is they're preventing themselves from learning because they have a view that mistakes are wrong, but actually mistakes are where we grow, right? And I believe the same thing is true of negative emotions. Negative emotions are actually how we grow and how we fully experience our lives. If we can feel bored or fear of being bored, man, like it's actually not boring at all if you can just let yourself really be curious about boredom. There's actually no boredom, but ironically, but um, like we just free ourselves. We don't have to be compulsively playing games or whatever. So I really believe just shifting our view about negative emotions is huge. There's so much growth and learning in negative emotions. So I think that would be one. Just trust yourself that you can actually deal with it. And if you can't, get therapy or a friend to talk to. And I think the other thing to share, the second thing I want to share is that you might have a relationship with video games, but you might have a negative relationship to video games. Maybe you're like, oh, video games means I suck. But what you're really doing with video games is trying to help yourself deal with these negative emotions. Now, I actually think letting ourselves distract ourselves from negative emotions is sometimes okay. I think distracting ourselves when the emotions are too much is actually okay. And then maybe after, an hour playing video games, you go and let yourself feel those emotions. So pairing it together can be really helpful. I can distract myself or comfort myself a little bit. Then I go and let myself deal with the negative emotions. If we just dealt with negative emotions all the time, it's like no fun. What if you just let yourself have some fun, distract yourself, and then deal with the negative emotion? So I think if you start to be friendly with video games, it could actually be really nice. I'm like, oh, I get to have some fun. I'm going to distract myself from that thing over there that I don't want to feel right now. And then I'm just going to play for a little bit. And then I'll sit for a little while with my meditation app and just let myself feel the fears. Um, Jyoti, I actually offered you a discount coming from um, I have a message from you to answer, so I apologize. Um, Video games are a lot of fun. It becomes a compulsion sometimes when we don't feel like we have a choice. And so what you really want to do is start to open up the spaciousness of having some choice. Okay. Any other questions from chat? Fearless living community. So Deanna, thank you for sharing the link there. There's a link that Deanna shared in the chat, fearlessliving.zenahabits.net. And this is for our Fearless Living Academy, which is a community of people who are actually dealing with this kind of thing. There's some here in the chat right now. So in Fearless Living Academy, I have courses similar to this, but laid out in modules and weekly videos about, a dozen different, a couple dozen habit courses, something like that. Some stuff about finding your purpose, and then some stuff about facing difficult tasks and being able to create an impact in the world. It's actually something I'm super proud of. I think it's a powerful set of courses, but even more powerful in Fearless Living Academy is that we have a community of people who are practicing this stuff together, supporting each other, being on a journey together, doing weekly check-ins. Sometimes people do daily check-ins. We have focus sessions where you can come and do your meaningful work together. They are really powerful. I do monthly webinars like this for the community. And then we have a thing that I think is actually more powerful than all of that other stuff that I've just shared, which is called The Practice. The Practice is like a monthly challenge to be dealing with some of the uncertainty and fears and overwhelm and frustration that you're feeling in your life, but doing it in a way that has you facing it on a daily basis while trying to tackle something difficult. So if you're like, I want to write a book, you face some of these underlying things as you write the book, and you practice with it, and you commit yourself to a daily practice. It's actually incredibly powerful. People have shifted some of their internal blockages, but also created, dealt with stuff they've been wanting to do for years. It's actually really amazing to see. Okay, and more info on the practice. Oh, thanks, Deanna. So Deanna is, I've introduced her before, but she is a member of the Zen Habits team. So I appreciate Deanna sharing here. Link to guided meditations from me, more information about the practice here in the chat. And Deanna, by the way, helps me run this YouTube channel. If you are not a subscriber to the YouTube channel, please subscribe. We have just passed 9,000. Actually, I think we might be almost up to 9,100 subscribers, which is amazing. I'd love for you to help me hit 10,000. So subscribe, share it with other people. My intention is to help people meet their lives, taking action in their lives in a meaningful and mindful way. And so this channel is my way to do that. And then Fearless Living Academy, fearlessliving.zenhabits.net is the other one. Soon 10K, yeah. So with that, if there are no other questions, I'm going to close our webinar. And I'm probably going to go study some chess is probably what I'm going to do. I've been super into chess lately. It's been my obsession. I've been, a term has been resonating in my head since I went on led a retreat in Mexico recently. And the term is healthy obsessive. One of the people who was on that retreat had a book called Healthy Compulsive, which I haven't read, but I think it was about this. But in my mind, it's healthy obsessive. So obsessing about chess is what I've been doing lately. But I think I do it in a fairly healthy way. And I've been finding that people who are healthy obsessives are actually really fascinating. They don't come without downsides. And so I have been learning to help people with the downsides of being a healthy obsessive. But being obsessive, people think is unhealthy, and it can be for sure. But if you can do it in a healthy way, it's actually really powerful. So thank you, Ravel. Deserve a lot more YouTube subs. Yeah, been blogging since 2007. There's so much content. So I'm trying to take some of that and build on it in the YouTube channel, and I'm really having a lot of fun. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. Sending you all love in dealing with your overload and overwhelm. Hope you have a great rest of your Saturday, and I will talk to you all later. Leo Babauta saying goodbye.